And all right. All right, guys. Welcome back to Topicocalypse. This is Josh, and I'm joined here by Mugzy. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, man? I love the title of it, like Apocalypse from X-Men style, man. It's nice.
Yeah. Well, it was a weird like thing because we like to talk about like everything from comic books to just random things we read about in the news. So I just figured, Topicocalypse, man. It's gonna be the end of the world for some people, and it's gonna be awesome for other people.
Yeah, man, it's funny that we brought up Apocalypse because I remember when the first photo got leaked of him on I think it was Empire magazine, and everyone was like, "Man, he looks like Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers movie." It was so disappointing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think of that movie as a whole? Because I was not I saw it twice and I felt like it suffered from having too many characters and not being able to do enough with them.
I'm kind of one of those people, man, and if you don't have an X-Men film where it doesn't have Wolverine in it, I'm kind of just like, it's a bit stale for me. Like I'm so invested. I'm like the majority that's invested just in that one character, and if he's not in the film, it just doesn't fit the melting pot for me. So, First Class, Apocalypse, and I know there was one more. I think, yeah, they just didn't do it for me, man. And then when they brought in Days of Future Past, I was like, all right, there he is. Okay, I can start paying my money now. You know.
Right, but even like it was Days of Future Past, that was the one where he comes out of the machine, or he's Weapon X still, right? And he just kind of wanders out into the snow, or is that Apocalypse?
That's Apocalypse, man. That was still cool, but that was probably my $15 right there for the movie, man. But D Days of Future Past, I still reckon hands down, in my personal opinion, is the best X-Men film. Just know it. I love that whole time travel thing where it's like he's in the the future, but somehow they suck his mind into the past to stop the past to in I don't know. I'm rambling on, man, but like I just thought the most epicest scene was because Charles knows how to do the whole, get in people's minds. He knows how to do the time travel and communicate with the past Charles Xavier. I just thought that was brilliant, man. Like when I saw that in the trailer, I was like, I want to know more how he does that. And when I saw it in the film, I just thought, man, this is incredible. You know, like it just
It really
we get out if you could like talk to your 20-year-old self, back in the day. Yeah,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it was cool too to see because Brett Ratner kind of just decimated the movie franchise with X-Men 3. And so
Mm.
we never really got like the true like an actual ending to that character arc before like First Class came out. So it was cool to kind of go back and revisit those characters and kind of put a bow on that while still feeding into the newer X-Men characters.
Yeah, it got pretty gloomy at the end, man. Like, when no spoilers to anyone who hasn't seen it, but you got to pick your game up. Where she like drops the gun and then like they're gonna get blasted away by the Sentinels in the future, and it all just, acts like it didn't happen because it didn't happen because she, you know, avoided the past, which was just insane. But what tripped me out, man, was the ending where Wolverine is getting pulled out of the water by Stryker, and then he's walking into Charles's office and said, "We did it." And I'm like, "Is there two Wolverines now? Is there one? Like, what's going on?" And like, it that scene was too trippy beyond my limits, man.
Right, right. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like there is still a Wolverine wandering around out there in the James McAvoy films. But, before we move on to another thing, what did you think of Logan?
I loved it, man. Yeah. I've read the comics, of course. Like everyone in the movie cinema was like kind of like tearing up, and I was sitting there like, he's not dead. Come on, it's obviously to end off the franchise, but to a comic book lover, man, nah, like he's not dead. Like he's probably just like a bit, resting. But
He's all banged
we've
up.
read, yeah, Old Man Logan and everything. Nah, like he can't die. So yeah, it was kind of like the same as Batman vs Superman when like he goes in the coffin and everyone's like, oh my god, he's dead, and I'm like, no, he's not dead. Superman's not dead. It's like you just have to be a diehard fan to walk into it and just destroy everyone else's views. So yeah, like Logan was great. I was a bit upset when Charles died in it. I thought it was a I thought he was going to die of old age more than the clone Wolverine. I thought that was a cheap way of taking him out. It would have been more emotional if he died at old age. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was yeah, it had some parts that were kind of, that seemed like a stretch for a story, but, like, it was
Mm.
like very beautiful movie. Like, I think they gave it and, I don't think he's done. I think that now that, Disney owns Fox, if they write enough zeros on that check, he'll definitely come back for a, Marvel cinematic film.
Oh, 100%, man. Like, he can do all these side projects. Like, what was it? The recent one he brought out, the Magician Man, or I can't remember, the Magic Man or whatever. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's cool, man. You can do all those films, but like Wolverine is still gonna pull you back because that's where your income's coming from. You know?
Oh, right. His
Yeah.
entire the reason he can do little experimental films like that is because of Wolverine. So
E- Exactly, man. Yeah. It's funny because I've seen so many interviews with him, and he said when he first did the first X-Men film, his wife didn't want him to do it. She said it was just not his character as a person. It was too barbaric, and he was considering not taking it, or taking his wife's advice. So it was like, man, like never trust a wife, like yeah.
hindsight. Well, from what I understand, Bryan Singer didn't had never watched the X-Men cartoon and never read the X-Men comics. And going
Mm.
into the movie, Hugh Jackman had actually more knowledge on the X-Men than Bryan Singer did.
Yeah, yeah, I heard about that. I'm still one of those fans, man, where like you can only get it on the Blu-ray of the Wolverine film where he's in Japan, but he opens up like a box, um, and like it's got the classic yellow costume in it, like the mask and the gauntlets and that kind of thing. I know it would have probably looked corny, but like I was one of those fans where it's like I just want to see him put it on once, just to see how it looks, just once, and it not fight in it, nothing like that, just like to try it on or maybe make a joke about like I can't go out like this or but it's just like just to see it on the big screen would have been great. And like yeah, it's a shame they never did it.
Hey, we can only hope though, because yeah, it would have been cool. He could have walked around the house with was it Yoriko was the girl's name in that movie?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he could have
Yeah.
walked around the house a little bit, that would have been fun to watch. Um, do you have Well, we're on comic books real quick. Do you have a favorite comic book that you like to read? Favorite character? You were talking about Batman before we went on. Would you say he's your favorite?
Yeah, absolutely, Batman. Man, I feel like with Batman, it's so like it's funny you say that, man, because like it started with like Adam West, like very pow and bang, and now you walk into a comic book shop and the graphic novels are so dark to the point of just sick. Like I remember like I went in. We've got like a local comic book shop over here called King's Comics, and I think I read Death of a Family 3, and there was a scene where the Joker's got Batgirl, Nightwing, and Robin sitting around a table with Batman, and their faces are covered up in bandages, and then like it's like he's like scarred their faces for like a like dinner survey kind of thing, and I was just like, my God, this is just so inhumane, but it's Batman, and I got to read more, and it's just that's what I love about Batman. You could go so dark with it and so twisted, but you can still keep it Batman related, and yeah, I just love it.
Well, that's the cool thing about Batman though, is because his world. I don't think just because he was the original run, like he was a is a product of the times. Like just because of the nature of Batman and Gotham City and what that is and what it represents, it's hard not to go dark, especially if you have the ability and you have characters like Joker. Like he's very demented, and even you go back to the Red Hood story arcs, and those
Mm.
were like those. I remember reading those as a kid, and they scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, like the Lazarus Pit with like Jason Todd and stuff. It was just brilliant, man. Like, even the Arkham games. I thought the final one, Arkham Knight. I thought it was so incredibly. powerful where the ending, because he's been through so many years fighting these villains, and it's like evil versus good. But then in the Arkham Knight, it's kind of like he can't live without him. They're kind of like family in a way, because there was a scene which was the Scarecrow turns Gotham into like a fear gas pool, and Poison Ivy has to like use her like herbs or whatever to, suck the gases out, and she makes this massive absorbed tree. But to do it, she has to sacrifice her life. And I remember watching that where she in Batman's arms and she like fades away like a plant, like into the air, and like it's kind of like, man, it's so powerful that all those years of fighting, but it's like remorse of feeling for these characters. Like you're not a villain, you're actually doing this for a cause, or I don't know. It's weird, man. Like even with the Joker in some of the films when he kills him in all these reincarnations, but he's lost after that because it's kind of like, what do I do now? It's just that's the powerful of characters, man.
Right, and they're all, if in the end, they're all like intrinsically connected because Batman was the first time I read a comic and I thought about that old saying like, would supervillains exist if superheroes didn't? And that kind of blew my mind because you do have points where the Joker exists strictly to uh you know be an adversary to Batman. So it is very crazy to think about, and it's they've done a good
That's
job.
exactly right, man. Like in Batman Beyond, where I think it's the first ever Batman Beyond movie, and like to everyone that watched the animated series, it's like, holy crap, the Joker's finally dead, and he made that chip to get it. I think it was, who was it? It was Jason. No, I think it was Tim Drake, and he puts the chip inside his head, and then like 30 years later or something, it's like it morphs into the Joker, and it's like his
Yeah, he
game's not over. And I thought, oh my god, man, that's incredible right there.
Hey, for real though, Batman Beyond, I would have loved to see that keep going. That was an excellent cartoon.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. That like the 90s era, it was just I love the 90s era of superheroes. Every time I watch them, it just takes me back to being a kid, like flicking on the TV box and watching it. Yeah.
Right, right. Did you ever like even Batman, Batman Beyond, the Superman animated series, Justice League, and Spider-Man and X-Men were another ones that like I
Mm.
woke up every Saturday morning to watch. I absolutely loved them.
Yeah. I think we all did, man, like before school. And yeah, sometimes like they'll do like a double episode, but you'd have to get to school and you'll complain with mum because you're like, I want to stay home and watch this recap episode. It sucks.
There's no DVR back then. You had to stick like a VHS in the tape player and set it to record something, and it never worked.
Yeah. You know it, man.
Uh, all right. Well, okay. So let's jump into some music here. I was listening to some of your music, and like I'm not,
Mm,
I don't know too much. Like I'm, my genres of music. Like I used to be really into rap, but lately I'm getting back into like a lot of the the screamo and like metalcore bands I liked in high school are kind of having a renaissance of their careers. But
mm.
I'm listening to your music, and I'm thinking that like what it reminds me of is like a mixture of a little bit of Atmosphere. Have you listened to him at all?
Yeah, I know Atmosphere. What, Tony Hawk's Underground star?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Atmosphere, Tone. Do you know Tone Deaf?
Vaguely, man. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say like Atmosphere, Tone Deaf, and Beastie Boys, and I dig it. But how close am I to your inspirations? Just out of curiosity.
Way off, man. Honestly, way off. Like my top five obviously would be 50 Cent, Eminem, Tupac, Nas, and DMX. So it's kind of like early thousands, 90s star. But yeah, it's like you said, man. It's hip hop. Like I came from an era where hip hop obviously was having like a message and a voice, and if you want to do this craft, you had the platform to make a difference, kind of thing. And it's kind of a shame of what it's turned into now. Like if you claim to be a rapper, you got to have bars, man. And just getting on a track and just saying Gucci Gang for 4 minutes, it's, man, like who listens to that garbage and like makes them famous, man? It doesn't, yeah, fatten me. So it's just a
Right.
shame what it's come to.
Do you think that like accessibility has anything to do with that now? Because before you had to actually be really good at your craft in order to get noticed and have a record made. But these days, you plug in you plug in a microphone to Avid or Logic or
Mm.
GarageBand or something, and make some beats. You think that has anything to do with like the excess of non-talented rappers out there?
Oh, 100%, man. Absolutely. Like I feel it, it's just like it becomes hard and like stressful at times, man, because you have hardworking artists out there that are so dedicated to their craft and time in and time out, like invest money and or even marketing and stuff to get out there, and they probably even won't make a dime. And meanwhile, you've just got this kid that will use the Gucci Gang thing again, puts on SoundCloud, somehow just miraculously blows up, and then it becomes an overnight success. Like they probably won't be an overnight success for long, but it's like, man, where's the hard work gone? It's all invested down to money now. It's just it's hard, man. It becomes difficult and stressful at times, man. But you just have to roll with the punches. You know. Mm.
Right, right. And it's funny too because like we're living in this weird time where bad music has is becomes like, I don't want to say idolatrized by kids, but it becomes trending to give props to like bad musicians, and then that makes their music popular, and it's a very very weird time that we're in right now.
100%, man. Like, I always get asked a question that, uh, like hip hop is obviously for the young, like for the kids. Like even I started when I was 14, I'm 27 now, and there's different roads and elements and stuff to take, or even to incorporate to make something new in this culture. But I feel like I always get called an old head because it's like, oh, you're just hating on the new current generation. But it's like, well, that's because I haven't heard anything good come out of it. And I feel like when they disrespect people who've come before them, it's just a spit in the face to us. Because when I was their age, I was like, I want to know where this culture came from, like the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and it's like when you get them now, and it's like I haven't heard a Tupac track, or why should I learn about New York and that kind of thing? I just want to make music. It's like why are you saying this stuff and trying to claim to be in this culture? It's just like, just shut your mouth, honestly. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't know how you feel about this, but I kind of feel like we've reached a time, like even for us, like as comic book fans, like we're living it. It seems lately like our subculture is being stolen by people who don't really know that much about it, but want to be relevant. Thanks to shows like The Big Bang Theory and Walking Dead and stuff like that. They've kind of like down here, like Comic Con now. I used to go every year, but now it's almost impossible to get tickets because they have there's a bunch of people who go there and they don't even read comic books. They're just there to see like the Twilight booths and stuff like that. So do you kind of feel that that's what's going on with hip hop?
Oh, absolutely, man. It's more like an argument kind of thing, because it's like it always comes down to why are you hating on us? We're making something new and fresh in the culture, but it's like, yeah, but you're blindsiding the fact of actually taking time with your craft and also disrespecting where it came from. Like, if they had a subgenre, I don't know, trap or something, it would be cool, but because it's quote unquote like hip hop and they're like rapping, which they're not even putting bars, it's just uh, it's so convoluted, man, to the point. It's just like I don't want to sound like the bad guy, but I just hate it. Like I turned on the TV today, man, and I saw Cardi B, and I was just like, man, this is just so whack. Like I think I was talking to this girl one time, and who was friends of my who was friends of my friend's sister, and I was just like, man, she was like playing it on her phone, and I was like, man, put on some Michael Jackson or something, and she's like, Michael Jackson's old and it's crap and like everything. I was like where's the knowledge to even say
Mm,
something like that, like say
a
like
nerd.
Michael Jackson is just rubbish, like you were just I'm gonna stop right there, man. It's getting too much. Yeah.
That's no, it's funny you say that because there are a lot of people who like they don't respect the classics. You ask them, "Hey, who do you like listening to?" It's like Taylor Swift or you know, Gucci Gang. Tell me, their preferred genres or basically anything that's being played on radio, and that there's so like radio is so picky about what they play, and it's usually the same like 10 or 12 songs over and over again. So you don't a lot of people aren't getting exposed to music that set the standard for the music that we have today, and it's kind of sad to know these kind of things.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right, man. But I think there's limits to, yeah, you might not appreciate it, or maybe it's like because it's not your era. But there's some things which you just don't cross. Like it's like going to a movie and saying, uh, man, like to all the Star Wars lovers, it's just like when Star Wars the first one came out, it's like you're walking into a like you'll be like one of the new kids now seeing episode 8 and you'll be like just go back and watch the original and just feel the impact of that and they're just like Star Wars was a shocking movie like it's like that's your choice but it's just a stupid opinion to even open your mouth just don't even say it, like Steven Spielberg worst director like it's like what are you talking about, it's just idiocy.
Oh yeah, no, for real. There's no there's no appreciation for anything. And it's the same like I was talking to someone the other day who had just saw the trailer for Jurassic World 2 and they were like, Jurassic World's such a good movie. I'm like, yeah, Jurassic Park though, classic. And they were like, what's Jurassic Park? They had no idea that it there was three other movies. How does that happen?
Oh man, it's like yeah, I've ran into some people, man, like the younger kind of thing, and it's just like I can't remember how I got into this conversation with them, but like they said like they gave a few minutes into the Rocky film, the first ever one, and they said I couldn't do it. It was just the dialogue and like the story was too bland and blank and boring, and I was just like, God, I wanna hurt you. I really like. What are you talking about? You know, like who can hate Rocky? Honestly,
And
yeah.
plus, like Sylvester Stallone went to such great lengths to make that movie happen. Like he lived in a van for 4 years just until he could raise the money to make sure the film was produced the way he wanted it.
Yeah, man, like the craziest story about that was the big dog that he's got in that. That's it. That was his actual. So the story like I heard was he was homeless and he had to sell his dog, that massive one in the film for food. And then when he got the check for the movie, he bought that dog back off the owner and that was his actual, dog in the film, that massive thing that he was with Adrian with.
Yeah, dude, that's tragic, man.
Mm.
Wow, he had to sell his own dog. I don't know if I could ever do that.
No, no way. Like, they're like a human inside a dog, man. They don't talk or anything, but it's just like they know, like their eyes, they know
Yeah,
something's up. Yeah,
yeah, like
fascinating creatures.
you ever see those like videos on like Facebook and stuff where people are like showing people who get brand new dogs like from people and you see like the looks on their faces when they know that their owner is driving away, or you see like video of someone who left a dog on the side of the freeway and the way it just kind of sits there and it just breaks my heart, man. Sarah McLaughlin commercial, hate that thing, but it just makes me cry every time.
Man, like especially when you take him to the vet, it's like I remember like my old dog. We used to take him to the vet, and it's kind of like a sense they've got where it would be like we'll drive down this hill and there'll be a roundabout. You turn right, and there's the vet. He would just see that roundabout and start flipping out, and it's like we could be just driving to the park or something, but he just knows something wasn't right. And then we pulled outside the van and he was just flipping the hell out, man. And we're just like, damn, you have to get it. You have to get a shot because it's like, you get sick, but you can't tell them that because,
For your own good.
yeah, exactly, man. Yeah.
All right, so back to the music.
Mm.
How did you get your start? When was your first I don't know, when did you know that you wanted to do stuff like this? When was your first when did you write your first song and kind of when did the dream come together for you?
Yeah, man. So when I was 14, early thousands era of hip hop, you obviously had G and a D12 and all that kind of stuff. I it's funny because I'm so talkative now, but like back when I was in high school, I was kind of like the shy kid. Like, I used to get picked on and that kind of thing. And my grades were failing. My grades were failing as a kid. I just hated high school, and it kind of at that young age, it's all they always say high school is like a progression. Like it's like your learning stages of adulthood, so it's just gonna pass and everything. But at that stage, I was sort of like, you can't think that way. It's more like, teenagers think in the now, and it's like, oh, the world's against me, and it causes a lot of depressive thoughts and that. And yeah, I went through that stage, man, of the depression and that, and caused my family a whole bunch of hell. And then I kind of related to obviously being a white boy myself, man, I kind of related to Eminem a lot, and then like you said, Beastie Boys, man. But I feel like M had more of an impact on the scene than any white rappers ever done, even to this day. And I knew I was failing at my grades and that, and I was like, why don't I give hip hop a shot? So I started dropping down rhymes, but I knew if I wanted to progress as an artist, I would have to write full songs, like chorus, verses, bars. And then I did like a little rough demo, sent it around, and people were feeling it. And then it was kind of like that local little celebrity buzz of people knowing you for your craft. And ever since then, man, this is what I really want to do. It was just like, all right, they love me for this side of my life. Now I can change it through hip hop and stuff.
Right. So you found a creative filter for all for like, the things you were feeling, things going on in school. You're able to take all of that and put it into your music.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, it's crazy because, I'm more older now, but I do a lot of youth work programs and stuff through hip hop and music, and I'm dealing with teenagers at that age that I was before, and every single one that has a problem always like wants to get out of this dark hole through either a creative art, whether it be music, acting, even the likes of painting and drawing. It's like that's the crazy thing about arts and creativity. It's just like another outlet to get out. So yeah, my mom was just hip hop, man.
Yeah, and that's another sad thing too, because in especially today, like you turn 16 and your parents tell you go get a job, and there's not a lot of people who are they give up on our dreams are basically like smoldered in, this need to survive, and there's not a lot of people who will seriously push you to achieve something that you actually want to do. And it just makes me sad to think about, like, how many great like painters or rappers or writers, or how many people that have really great thing really creative things to offer the world, but they don't because they're too busy worrying about that 9 to 5, or they get into that mood where they start making a lot of money and they just forget about everything they ever wanted to do before that.
Yeah, well, I think that comes down to chance, man. Like a lot of people, it's like either you got to have this following, or like how are you going to bring us money? And it's not like back in the day where like I remember I heard so many success stories where these companies or these corporations and stuff would take chances on artists, or whether it may be, and you just see them now and it's like they're just iconic. But now it's more like you got to have the following, you got to have them, you got to have like a fan base behind you, so we don't lose money on you, because we've done that method before of taking chances. And yeah, there's been success, but there's also lost money. And I just feel, man, that's where we've gone wrong. Of like, you could be the most hardest working artist in the game, but maybe your quality of music's not up to date, or maybe you got a few fans, but your hustle and just like everything to get out there is just on point. Like you're willing to risk it all. The labels and stuff are going to be like, we're going to lose money on you. We don't want to take a chance to boost him more up, compared to, obviously we're going to go back to a Gucci game where it's like you've got like a full fan base, but you make that one song that hits, and the label's like, let's invest money into him. And it's like, this is where we've got these mumble rap and all that kind of stuff, man. It's a tragedy, because I kind of feel like I'm in the position of the first class where it's like I work hard, but I got to do a 9 to 5 just to boost the career. It's bad, man. Thank you, teenagers.
All right, you have to. I mean, because let me do you produce your music independently, or do you have somebody who does it for you?
Yeah, I got a producer, man. I've tried to give it a shot with making beats and all that kind of thing, but it's a whole nother ball game, man. I don't have the time or the patience with it. So yeah, I got my producer Pablo, who did Understand Me, the album, and he found me at a youth gig, man, and he had a home studio and that kind of thing, and yeah, we just did 20 tracks up. So he's a mastermind, man. He knows what I want and does it straight off the bat. Or even he even reads the lyrics and just knows the beat concept through the lyrics, which is pretty insane.
That I mean, does that help you? Has he ever how do you approach writing? Do you take it like do you listen to other beats and kind of drive inspiration from that, or is that do you write the lyrics down and then try to match the lyrics to the beat of the music?
That comes later on, man. What I do is sometimes I'll write to a beat. Most of the time I don't, because I feel like my creative process comes more naturally when there's just silence. But I always focus on the title of the track, man, whether it be Understand Me, and then I put all my energy into that title, and it just comes naturally, man. Like ideas and concepts just come from the title, like the title of the track, which is weird. And then when I go to the when I've got my lyrics and I go to the studio, I give it to Pablo. He looks over it, and then he's like, I can feel this is more, um, I can feel this is more a inspiring track, and then I'll bring in the next one, and it'll be like, all right, this is more an aggressive track, and he just looks at the words, and then he just randomly carves something up. Everything that he carved up I liked, and then it's mix and matching. Maybe this line won't work. Maybe put this in there, and it's like puzzling it into the beat later on. So yeah, that's how I do it.
That's cool because I shot a music video for someone. His musical act is called Hyperschmidt, and I was listening to him, record a song, and he makes all his own. He does like electronica, and he's had the beat laid out, and I was listening to him try to create lyrics to it, and he just makes a bunch of like random noises, and then he says eventually he'll take those noises and he'll form them into words. So like the creative process for music has always fascinated me.
Yeah, it becomes difficult at some points, man, because like you could be listening to this awesome beat and you've got the lyrics in your head, but they're only snippets of the lyrics, not the whole picture. It's kind of like not the whole cake, just half of it. And it's like, how do you put it down on paper to make it sound right for the listeners? And that, sometimes I'll be listening to a beat and I'll get maybe like a few words in, but the rest will be just mumbled up. And then but it's like folding into a concept, and I'll just be like, all right, now I got to really pencil down to try and figure out wording this properly. So yeah, hopefully the next album is going to be better than the second, man.
That's so cool. Well, so like speaking of what's coming next, though, what is next for you? And do you have because right now I was listening to some of your stuff on Facebook. Do you have are you what's in the future for you? How many albums are you out right now, and do you plan on putting out more?
I've done two at the moment, man, and yeah, I'm trying to work on a third at the moment, and I want to do a two disc for it because my other one released in 2013, and it's been a while. But in 2013, I was doing music since 14 till now, till I mean 2013, and I felt there's got to be more avenues out there besides music in this entertainment industry that I could do personally. So I jumped into the acting game for a bit, and I was doing I started with commercials over here in Australia, and then I started doing a lot of short films, independent films like extras and then featured roles. And it just kind of progressed me with more work to the point of I totally forgot all about music. And then my fans were like, we got to hear more, we got to hear more. And I was like, crap, like I've been so invested in this acting side that the music side is just gone from me. And now I'm slowly getting back into the music. But it's becoming tricky to start writing again and getting that inspiration because my mind's just gone elsewhere. It's kind of like Mark Wahlberg in a way, like how I'm like the Australian Marky Mark to like Mark Wahlberg now. So flick back and forth. Yeah.
I like that metaphor. It's funny if you were to say that to anyone else, like a lot younger than us, they probably wouldn't understand it at all.
Oh man, like yeah, man, like yes, New Kids on the Block, like Step by Step. I ain't gonna lie, man, like that's a catchy ass song, like Step by Step. Yeah.
What was it? TGIF, right? They played Family Matters, Step by Step.
Yeah, man. Like if see, I swear to God, like I don't care how I look, man. If the DJ just took the piss out of everyone and played that, I'd be doing the the moves and everything. Yeah, the backward step. Yeah.
Oh man, those days, I miss them. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I kind of get what you mean with like the you said you're trying acting and all that. I do want to
Mm.
ask you, have you done any big roles that people that the listeners can go check out? Anything recent?
Nah, never huge roles, man. But like the two big movies I've been in, it was just an extras in the background, kind of. Well, not in the background, but like more like not right in the background. It's more near the characters. Was in 2015, I was in Jackie Chan's film Bleeding Steel when he came over here in Australia, and the scene was like a carnival, and he's like on like the merry-go-round thing with his daughter and his wife, and then the villains come out, and then they have this like massive fight scene. I'm meant to be like one of the people they push out of the way, and like I'm just like, whoa, what's going on here? So I was pretty much close to Jackie Chan, and a lot of people around me were starstruck, man. But I grew up with Jackie Chan adventures and that kind of thing. But I was like, man, if like he's just doing his job. But if it was Chris Tucker, man, like that's a whole other story. I probably would have ran up, So that was pretty cool. And the one I recently did last year in December was Little Monsters, which was with that comedian Josh Gal. No, what he's like
Josh,
a
he was in Beauty and the Beast. Josh,
yeah, he's in that.
yeah, yeah,
Well,
Josh.
what? Yeah, yeah, him and Lupita. She was in 12 Years a Slave and the new Black Panther movie. Yeah, the African American girl. She won the Oscar for 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah,
Uh,
Neong, I think is her last name.
yeah, yeah. So those two were in it. They came down for Australia for it, and it was kind of like a film where this daycare center goes on like a trip and they don't know there's a zombie like apocalypse kind of thing. So yeah, they get to this daycare center and then get overrun by zombies and stuff. And I played as like the crowd of zombies trying to eat Josh and stuff. So it was funny because the location from where I live was like maybe 2 to 3 hours away by train, and so they covered me in blood, prosthetics, and the eyeballs and stuff like that. And I thought, and when I was covered in like all this crap, I was thinking, how am I going to get this off? Like, surely they must have showers or something like afterwards. And we finished a full day of filming, and then I was like, all right, cool, I can get this off. And they just gave us these buckets of like soap and just water, and there was like maybe 30 to 40 extras just scrubbing like dogs and stuff. That's how cheap the department it was. I was like, man, come on, at least give us a trailer or something. And so I thought, nah, this is gonna be a good story for my friends. I'm gonna creep some people out. But I took like the 3 hour train home, and I had like all these business people doing their 9 to 5s, like looking at me like, holy crap, like that. And I was just sitting there on the train, just like covered in like prosthetics and blood, and like, just the whole ripped clothes and everything. I was just like, oh, it was a bar fight, typical Australian.
This guy is gonna murder somebody. He probably already did.
Yeah. So that was incredible because like when he came out of his trailer, I thought I've seen that guy somewhere before, and everyone was like, yeah, that's Josh Gad, and I was like, that's the guy. But it still wasn't a starstruck moment, man. Like it was just like he's going about his job. That's cool. It has to be on my influence level to starstruck me. Like if it was friggin' Denzel walking out, oh my god, man! Like like that'd be a whole nother story. But yeah, it's just yeah, they just go about their day. Hmm.
Well, I mean, they are normal people, and so I'm sure they actually appreciate not being like you know st- not attacked, but like having starstruck people come up to them because I'm thinking it's probably awkward for them because they don't know what to say half the time. If someone walks up to you and just like holds their mouth open because they don't know what to say. It's probably a very weird situation for them.
Man, it's like at meet and greets and stuff, like when you go to these Comic-Con things and you get fans that they're like, oh my God, like I literally got that. We don't have Comic-Con here. We have a thing called Supernova Pop Expo. It's kind of like a small one. And never forget, man, 2015 when, well, like we'll flip back to the 90s for a bit. Walter Emmanuel Jones, who played as the Black Power Ranger, Mighty Morphin, like when he did a meet and greet down here in Sydney, I remember wanting to be like that guy as a kid and stuff. And when I got to finally meet him, I had a full fangirl. I couldn't even talk, man. I was like, dude, like you're like right in front of me right now. What the hell? So I kind of fangirled a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, when you're a kid and you idolize somebody like that, it's hard not to. Do you ever have you ever read the Hellboy comic books?
Nah, never, man. On a side note, if you count like Hellboy, The Crow, I was very into The Crow, man. Like Brendan Lee's, like that concept was awesome. So on the kind of like independent comic line, yeah, I was more a Crow person than anything.
Okay, yeah, I remember because Hellboy, The Crow, and Constantine were competing, or Hellblazer were competing with each other, and so a lot of people either went to The Crow or Hellblazer, and Hellboy didn't actually get popular until the movie came out. I was
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was at the San Diego Comic Con. I waited like 2 hours to meet because Mike Mignola he draws and he writes the comic book, and I waited like 2 hours to meet this guy, and then I finally got up there, had no idea what to say, so all I said was, "I really like your work," and then it's just very awkward, and so he signed my comic book, and I walked away, but oh, man,
And then when like you walk away later on, you all these like questions come in your head up, like, oh, crap, I could have asked that and everything.
right, right.
Yeah.
The whole time I was in line, I was trying to think of things I wanted to ask him, and then just it's all gone afterwards.
It's such an incredible atmosphere, man. Like, I go each year and like it's kind of like Christmas for the guys because you see some of their costumes and it's like, where do you get the material to get that? Like the props and everything. Like, I remember, I think one of the best ones I saw was this guy. And he full had like metallic armor on, and he like for the Star Wars fans out there, he was dressed as Darth Revan from like the old Republic era, and it was just like, man, it wasn't even plastic; it was just like metal, like plating and stuff. And I thought, and they love to stay in character. They just like they don't wave, they don't do anything, they just stay in character. I'm like, props to you, dude, man. Like that was you full walked off the Knights of the Old Republic screen right there, you know.
Some of the cosplay costumes you see, like, they are very intricate, and you wonder how long it took them to make that and how expensive that was to put together because they are dedicated. Like, you see a lot of Street Fighter costumes that are garbage, but then you'll see someone in, like, a super, realistic looking Master Chief costume, and you're just blown away by it.
Yeah, like I always like go with my younger brother, and we always love to look at the cosplays, but we always love it when it's something unique, like I mean something out of the ordinary. And if everyone's doing the Jokers and Harley Quinns, it gets a bit stale. Like you're all doing the same thing, but then like if you see this one person walk out, I remember I saw this girl once, and it's a pretty old school movie, The Warriors, and she was dressed as one of the baseball Fury gang, and she had like the face paint of baseball and like everything. To anyone who hasn't seen the movie, I'm sorry, but like she walked past, and I thought, brilliant. And the guy walked past and he was dressed as the Crow, and he like had the full spandex on and everything. And I thought, brilliant. Like that was just, yeah, that's what I like to see. I've never seen a RoboCop one. I want to see a good RoboCop walking around.
That's weird because you would think that would be a common one. I've seen a lot of Gundams, and some
Yeah.
are better than others, but yeah, RoboCop is something you think would be common. It's
Yeah, like if I ever see a robot, like not the new movie one, like if they're dressed as like the black one with the hand, like nah, man, like keep moving, keep moving. If it's old school Peter Weller style, man, oh my God, like yeah, take a picture with me for sure.
Oh, rumor on the old grapevine is that they're going to be rebooting, not rebooting, but they're canceling out RoboCop 2 and 3 and making a direct sequel to the old one. So if whether or not that ever comes to fruition, we'll see, but I would definitely be down to go back to that world.
Dude, yeah, I just got chills then. Like when you said that, I really hope they do. Yeah, like it's the same as Halloween. Like, the horror movie style, like they're building, they're making, well, they're filming the new one, Halloween 2018, and it's coming out in October. So I'm really pumped for that. I don't know how they're gonna do it though. Yeah, it's a tricky one.
That's a sequel to John Carpenter's Halloween run, right? Not the Rob Zombie one.
Yeah, so it's like you've got one and two, and then wait, no, wait, I think they still have two. No, you've got one, and then from two to I think it was eight, and then the Rob Zombies is uncanon. Like, it's like it's totally wiped out. So yeah, So it's weird. It's kind of like, all right, so he disappeared, and then what did he wait like 40 years to attack her again? It's going to be a total mind blow how they're going to do it.
Yeah, it's gonna take some clever writing. Did you see what did you see Blade Runner 2049?
I still haven't seen it yet, man. Nah,
That
I
was
heard.
very well put together.
Yeah, I heard it was like incredible. It was kind of like a all the lights and stuff. It was like a futuristic like because I watch reviewer Chris Stuckman on YouTube a lot. Chris Stuckman, Jeremy Johns, and that they said it was like a incredible atmosphere of like a nightlife in the future, like all the lights and the it was just I have to see it, man.
It is, I mean, rent it, like don't go see it in a theater if you rent it so you can like it's so you pause it so you can go to the bathroom and not miss anything because it's like almost 3 hours. But it did such a good job of taking the original Blade Runner and feeding it into this new piece. And it's almost like, with the exception of the quality differences and when the movie was produced, it's almost they almost flow flawlessly into each other. It's an amazing movie.
Yeah, like I've heard no bad reviews about it, man. So I got to get on board on that. I don't know where I've been sitting, but like, yeah, definitely get on it for sure.
Good, good. All right, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I want to get back like I music. So in one of the Topicocalypse episodes a couple weeks ago, we were talking about people, creative people sometimes get put in this position where they have to sacrifice creativity or inspiration for basically for the way others think about them, or like a significant other or something. Have you ever been put in that position when you write music, like you don't want to write something or make a beat because it's going to upset somebody?
No, never, man. You know, the at first, throughout when I was, starting off in my career, of course it did. Like I was like, "Ooh, I better not write about this because if I send it out, I'm gonna get all this hate mail or anything." But then, slowly on, it's kind of like a defense thing. Slowly on, when you see how bad today's music has got, it's sort of like an anger thing with me of just like, look, I don't even care anymore what I'm going to release. If it's good, if it's bad, just listen to it. And there's going to be people who like it. There's going to be people who hate it. If you like, if you're radio friend, no, not radio friendly. If you're like friendly best, it's like, oh, I don't want to touch on that. It's just like, where's it going to get you, man? Like, it's like I'm just going to put out my all. But you need to back it up. Like I mean, like I'm not gonna write a political track and then like in an interview it's like, what do you think of Donald Trump, or what do you think of so and so? I'm like, yeah, like it's you always got to write something to back it up, and that's why I don't write any political tracks and nothing like that because I have no idea what's going on in that department. Like,
Oh
yes.
yeah, politics are dangerous. I always, anytime someone comes on the show and wants to talk about politics, I'm always like, I don't know, man. Let's tread carefully here because no matter what you say with politics, you're you're gonna upset somebody. Like somebody is going to. It's not even a problem. You're entitled to believe whatever you want, and God bless you for having being able to think for yourself. But like some people, it's dangerous how fast some people can get triggered over
Oh,
small things.
exactly right, man. Like, it's amazing how, they get so invested in it and with no change. I always look at it, they get so invested in it with no change. Like, you could talk all this stuff, but is it really gonna is it really gonna change like people's opinions and stuff? Like, you could write this thing about Donald Trump or whoever on Facebook, but it's just ranting. It's not gonna change tomorrow. It's not going to change the past, like it's just who cares, man.
Yeah, it doesn't. We've become like we've taken on this villager mentality where we don't want to figure out like why Frankenstein is up in the windmill, or like how to fix his problems, but you give us some torches and you put us in a group. Hell yeah, we're gonna burn that thing down.
Yeah, exactly, man. Political correct. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's dangerous territory because I imagine, especially like as a rapper, because you hear like some of the Eminem was very controversial back when he his Marshall Mathers albums were out, and or Slim Shady especially, like he was in the news a lot because kids were
Mm.
listening to that stuff and they didn't like what he was saying. But he as a rapper, you're kind of, I look at it this way, it's kind of, you're like a raw nerve that's exposed to everybody, and you're just you're telling people the truth about things, and a lot of times people don't like the truth.
Yeah, man. Like it's kind of like where for that there's I feel like we've generalized. How do I explain this? We've generalized society now. It's more they don't want to put rules in place and rather go wild. And then when the consequences happen, they flip out. It's like the glass is half full. It's more like you, how do I explain it? Like no, actually, I'm not going to get into that territory. It's going to sound too negative. Yeah, it's just like how I see it, man. It's it's going to talk about sex and all that kind of thing, and it's just no, it's like it's too dark territory to talk about. But it's more like they'll rather go wild and just do the whole I don't care, I'll do what I want. And then when there's consequences and situations that get put into place, they back up and like, okay, I need help now. And it's like, whoa, you should have thought of this before you made that decision. And I feel like in our era, we made decisions before we would actually do. And I don't know, man. Like that's all I'm gonna say. It just gets too in depth.
No, yeah, I get what you're saying. You have to, well, especially like when you're as an artist, when you're putting a piece out there, you have to be able to kind of justify why it's out there, and especially like if it's, you see someone who makes concept music videos or, a trilogy of films, like people aren't going to understand it. Like, the last Star Wars, like I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I'm sure all the stuff that I didn't like about this one will make sense once the next movie comes out. So you just have to be able to put something out there and stand by it because there's always going to be people who hate. That's one of the things like trolls, especially social media. You got the trolls, you got the haters, you got people who, they want something to complain about, but they don't really understand or appreciate the effort that goes into making a piece of art, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, man. Like, also, I think it was like what we were saying before of like the whole, Michael Jackson thing. It's kind of like, look, there's consequences to this. It's just it's like think before you act, and it's just like, oh, Michael Jackson's like the worst performer ever. Like, well, she didn't say that, but it was like, it's just like, he just doesn't have good music. It's like there's things that you were just so far gone that it's not even funny. Like there's consequences to this stuff, and that's just like where it comes to music, where when I write something, I know I'm writing this. I think before I write it, so if someone flips it back to me, I got to know how to back it up, and it's just like that's why I don't run my mouth without having a reason behind it. Yeah.
Right, and people should, they should take the time to like before they attack, they should take the time to understand why, like to understand why someone's putting these words out into the world. And they don't really do that these days. We want to, what's that old saying about we want to shoot first and ask questions later?
Yeah, man. Or it's yeah, kind of like killing Snoke in the first. Spoilers to anyone who hasn't seen it. Yeah, killing Snoke in the first few minutes of the movie, man. Like
Right.
yeah, it's just like I don't know, man. I just feel whoever's behind J.J. Abrams or whoever, like it's cool to bring back the old saga for the old school lovers, but just I'm begging you, like sign a petition, do anything, bring a Knights of the Old Republic movie to the big screen, and you'll just make bank. Like you'll just
Cool.
flood it in. Yeah.
Well, I know Rian Johnson has his own trilogy, and after the last Star Wars, I'm kind of concerned about it. But then they announced that David Benoit and DB Wise are going to be making. They're the guys who wrote and produced Game of Thrones. They're going to be making their own trilogy. And like the first thing I thought was, nice little Republic, man. That's their. They live in the political intrigue, and I can totally see them doing something like that.
Oh man, like I swear to God, like me and my friend who's a huge Star Wars head, like we always play a game like who could like play Nihilus or who could play Revan, and I always say like when I saw Dracula Untold, like Luke Evans, like he had the hair, he had the beard, perfect as Revan, like he just looks the part. So if there's a petition hold, put Luke Evans as Revan.
He can play any type of like part where you give him a weapon like
Mm.
like a bow and arrow, like even in the Hobbit, bow and arrow, a sword. Like I think he just owns those parts. Dracula Untold, was fantastic, and I don't care what the critics say about it. It
It
was
was a
he
great movie. Yeah.
owned that part, and it's sad to see that it didn't do so well. And that's the problem too. You have fantasy epics for some reason, unless they're part of the Lord of the Rings franchise or Game of Thrones related, they don't really do so well these days.
Hmm. That's it,
Um,
man. It's like,
yeah.
hey, broaden your mind. Come on.
Right. Well, I mean, I was a huge fan of Guy Ritchie's King Arthur movie he came out with last year, but it just got annihilated by critics at the box office numbers too, which is sad. Okay, so we've gone on for a bit here. We went down a few side trails here. Where can we? So, what's in the future for Mugzy? What can we expect from you in the coming months? Are you doing some shows? Coming out some new singles?
Oh man, just working on the third album, and then when that drops, it'll probably be halfway through this year. If not, I just want to get at least like a few tracks going again, and then a few more gigs. But still doing the acting part, man. But I think music's starting to flood a bit back in, so to the fans and stuff, or viewers listening. Yeah, like it's just a third album, and my main platform that I use, man, is Facebook. So if they just type in Mugzy, Mugzy, or to the, over there it's Mugzy, keeps you up to date with, upcoming albums, interviews like this. It's got my band profile, YouTube and Twitter attached to it. So yeah, just hit me up there, and I pretty much try and get back to everyone possible I see who comes up on my feed.
All right, cool. Well, hey, thanks for being on the show and talking to us about music and comic books and movies. Hopefully we can talk to you again in the future. But yeah, man, it's been a real pleasure.
No, it was a pleasure having me, man. It's surprising because I do hip hop, but I've still got the whole comic book side still invested in me, man. So thank you so much for doing this, man.
Yeah, no problem. All right, guys. Well, you can find Topicocalypse on podcast.com, Google Play, Podbean, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, and other great podcasting outlets around the globe. And Muggsy, where can they find your music if they're interested in giving it a listen?
Yeah, it's just on my fan page, man. My band profile's attached. So like if you scroll down where it says band profile on the left side of the screen, yeah, it will come up. So it saves you typing it in individually, man.
All right, cool, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.